It's showtime. Afternoon and possibly evening for our fellow watchers today on What's the History. Today we will be taking our viewers through a depth perception of the Constitution. Yes, folks, the Constitution. The Constitution is a set of rules that guides how a country, a state, or other political organization. Now, I'm going to tell the story. George Washington, my friend and yours, stated, "If to please the people, we offer what we ourselves disapprove, how can we afterwards defend our work? Let us raise a standard to which the wise and honest can repair. The event is in the hand of God." With help from James Madison, the two then collectively gathered as much as they needed to make the Constitution and became the founding fathers of America. The Constitution was written in 1787. Remember that. 1787. Now, the branches. The three branches that create this Constitution. First, let's start where the laws are made. Good old legislative branch. I bet you didn't even know that this branch is the closest with the people. And what the public has to say will be listened by the government, or, to be specific, the United States. The legislative is split into two houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate. Since there is two sections that make up the legislative branch, let's focus on the House of Representatives. First, all the members are elected every 2 years, and you have to be at least 25 years of age, and you have to be a citizen of the U.S. of 7 years, and you have to live in the state that you would like to represent. The Speaker of the House has the most power throughout the House and can give members permission to speak on the House floor, designating members to serve as a speaker, pro tempore, counting and declaring all the votes, appointing members to committees, setting bills. You guys get it. Being in the Senate, it is a 6-year term. 1/3 of the senators are up for election every 2 years. You have to be at least 30 years old and a citizen for 9 years. And of course, you have to live in the state you would like to represent. Hierarchy in the Senate is the vice president. Think like the vice president is the president of the Senate. Have to go through the Senate and House to get distributed to the next step, which is the executive branch. Now, we will be moving on to the executive branch. The executive branch, if you did not know, they enforce the law. And who is in the executive branch? The President, Congress, Senate, and the House. And the President is the leader of the executive branch. He or she can approve bills or can veto bills. Now, judicial branch is our last and final branch to talk about. Now we know who makes the laws, enforces the laws, and now we will learn who interprets the laws. The structure of the judicial branch is based off the two court levels, federal and state. The judicial branch is made up of the Supreme Court and all their federal courts, whose function is to rule courts in all matters to the Constitution and the federal law. Unlike other branches, the justices that work in the judicial branch, they aren't elected, they are selected by the President, selected from the Supreme Court members, such as federal courts of appeals, district courts. The justices are never removed, and they can either work till their death, retire, or they can be removed by impeachment by Congress and conviction, such as in Section 1, the Constitution states the Supreme Court is the third branch of government and has the power to decide cases. Section 2 touches on the jurisdiction, which means to have the authority to hear and decide on which cases to move forward. Section 3 spells out regulation and treason cases, which gives the right to punish treason. For Supreme Court being on the highest court in the country for decisions, the Supreme Court gets to have the last say out on what they distribute. Our Article Section 4 through 7. The Constitution was set up that all citizens were meant to be on an equal playing field, which ties us into our first article, which we will be covering, Article 4. Article 4 states that each state is equal to one another, and the laws in one state must be recognized by citizens that are traveling. They must obey the laws in different states. Article 4 was established with one central government and the equally among every state, meaning when the first 13 states were established, first, they do not get more power over the newer states just because they came first. Article 5 essentially states that there is a way for the states of America to amend the Constitution. I know. Amend the Constitution? Hold on. Bypassing federal branches of government such as Congress and the President. Now, it is very difficult to do this, but it is definitely something that is there so that if there was anything to be amended, we the people can bypass the federal government. So then we move on to Article 6, which is somewhat similar to Article 4. It states whether the government should be assuming the debts of the states or whether that was something each state should have to do themselves. Alexander Hamilton, also one of our friends, argued for the idea that if we were wanting to be one nation, the debts must fall on the central government rather than the states. And by doing it, it would benefit the country as a whole because then we will be sharing the burden as a nation rather than each state for themselves and forcing them into poverty. And essentially the plan was if one state fails, we all fail. So then the government should have the power of being the supreme law of the land. So it doesn't matter if you live in Indiana, Wyoming, North Dakota, or California. Every state is underneath the federal government and therefore must follow the Constitution. Now, the last article we will be talking about is Article 7. Article 7 pretty much wraps up by explaining how many of the 13 states were necessary in order to ratify the Constitution. This is pretty much just necessary to just outline how many people are needed in order to agree for this to become a supreme law of the land. Essentially, and every state did eventually ratify the Constitution. Now, the Constitution is different than the Declaration of Independence because of the fact that the Constitution was ratified and also by the point that the states were united by the point of the Constitution, and specifically when we get to the point of Article 7.
The moment you have been waiting for. It's the amendments.
I know. It's the best part of the video. It's the amendments. The amendments. The rights of a U.S. citizen. Now, I unfortunately cannot give you all the definitions of all the amendments, so I will be giving you the definitions of the amendments I picked. Get your notebooks out, because we're about to get a lesson. The First Amendment. Alrighty, diving into our First Amendment, it is the most important amendment around, giving you the freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, meaning the government cannot censor because they do not agree with the same ideas you have, the freedom of assembly, as long as it's peaceful, and the freedom to petition formal request. Second Amendment. Oh, you have the right to bear arms. Third Amendment. Amendment number 3 is always on my side because people are not forced to quarter troops into homes. Relates back to the Great Britain for the soldiers who would break into homes and steal souvenirs, such as this guy. Do you know the Third Amendment? The Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment protects you from getting searched without uncertain doubt. That's why we have warrants for people to get searched on Amendment number 5. Plead the Fifth. I know you've heard that saying before. This saying comes from the Fifth Amendment. This amendment helps citizens remain unguilty by not saying anything to anyone. The Seventh Amendment, civil or common cases. Amendment 8. This amendment specifies in trying to stop excessive fines and cruel and unusual punishment. 13. In this amendment, they finally abolished slavery. Amendment 14. No state can deprive you of any of your rights. Amendment number 15. African American men were finally able to vote. In the year 18. Amendment number 16. Taxes. The amendment states that it established the prohibition of the alcohol in the United States. Amendment number 9. Women's rights to vote. Shall I go any further? Amendment number 26 It gives the right of the citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. And that is it, folks. We made it through the Constitution together, and I hope this video helped you. Have a blessed day.